Ciao amici e benvenuti nella Peso sulla Luna. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you surely know from the beginning of my video where I tried to speak Italian that this is my series in which I use Terre de Marseille adjacent, and antique Italian decks to help me pull a central message out of my larger weekly spread, which I've already done. And in case you have not seen this week's larger weekly spread, I highly recommend you go do that. So I'll put a card up here for you to click on and be able to hop on over and take a look at that video first so that you get an understanding of the platform, the basis from which the question I'm about to ask is being answered. And now that longer video, you don't have to watch in one sitting, just so you know. Now you can watch it in bits. Watch it in 15-minute segments if you want, 10-minute segments, your choice. You can always go back and pick it back up from where you left off. That's what I'm trying to say. So now, just in case you have done that and you'd still like a little bit of a refresher what it was you saw. The title that I chose at the end of the video was When the Time is Right and We Are Ready. Because it seemed like we were in a gap between the feeling of futility, maybe perhaps even defeat, and the desire to leap away, to get away, to escape, to dive into the unknown, do something different. But if we are living our lives intentionally, we know that that feeling of frustration, disappointment, irritation, whatever emotion we're feeling from that feeling of futility and defeat, whatever emotion that is causing for us, we know that that is an indication that we do not have full access to the power of our intention. And leaping off from that platform is not going to necessarily lead to our best outcomes. That if we do the work to get ourselves into a place of confidence, of satisfaction, even hope, leaping from that platform will be so much more productive and so much more beneficial for us. So so we worked through the entire spread talking about that pull of the desire to escape and yet knowing it's not time yet. And to observe, to keep our eyes open, was the constant reminder, I think, throughout that entire spread. So friends, we're about to look at a hopefully concise message from this larger spread. And I will show you the cards we're looking at. I'll show you the question I ask every week, which is, what is the central message of this week's 5-elemental spread? And then we'll talk about it. Are you all ready? So friends, here we go. Here are the question and the cards. This is a really interesting spread, a really interesting deck as well. Do you know this deck? This is called the Ancient Italian Tarot. It's produced by Lo Scarabeo. It's mass market. So I'll put a link in the description box below if you want to go purchase this deck. It's a great deck. I know some people probably don't like the backs of these cards, but I like the backs. It's basically it's a Terre de Marseille, but it's basically almost a US Games sized deck. It's a little bit thinner. The card I'm holding up for you right now in the back is basically a US Games sized deck. And so this antique Italian deck is just a little bit thinner, but for all intents and purposes, it's about the same size as a US Games standard tarot deck, though it's produced by Los Garabeo. And that might be the reason why. So we saw, I think it's a gorgeous deck. It's Tarot de Marseille style, but with the Italian flair. It's not a wood block, it's an engraved printing. So it's gorgeous. The colors are beautiful. The design is intricate and lovely. It's easy to read, and it looks a little bit sumptuous to me. And you saw from left to right, we had the Nine of Cups, the Devil, and the Nine of Wands. 2 nines. Now the cups and the wands are elementally ill-dignified, but because we've got the Devil in the middle, they're split up, and that's a little bit better. And we have the one, I wanted to say human, but of course the Devil is not human. The being, the animated being is in the center, and the 2 non-animated elements of wands and cups are on the side. So we're going to look at this spread as the Devil being the center, with the 2 cards on the sides. And the Devil was looking towards was looking towards the wands cards, right? So perhaps that's where our eyes are going, our mind is going. But the Nine of Cups is still in our experience as well. And this is a gorgeous Devil card. I'm sorry, I just think this is gorgeous. The artwork is beautiful. I love the red hair. I love the fire at the Devil's feet. I love that the Devil is trampling on the snake. Look at that trident in his hand. It's just a gorgeous card. And that Devil does not look all that comfortable. Well, maybe he does. Maybe he... there's also a real devil-looking creature with green creature. Do you see that? I sometimes forget about him. You see this face down here? And this creature is grabbing at the Devil's legs. It's just the coolest card. This Devil looks kind of like, it's not Pan because the Devil has human-looking feet, human-ish looking feet. So the Devil is being grasped at by one of his demons, perhaps, but I don't know, he could be playful. So when I look at the Devil in Tarot de Marseille, instead of looking at it as addictions and being trapped, or I think of the Devil as playful, as the embodiment of the fully physically manifested spirit in body, in the world. Playfulness, pleasure, fantasy. Not the fantasy of the moon, perhaps, but fantasy of passions and fantasy. Also materialism. Yeah, the attachment to the material might be here. Not so much addiction, but attachment to the material. And immersion in the physical, right? It can be dependency and chaos, perhaps, but not necessarily. It could be a dark side of our individuality. It could also be our sexuality, I think. It could be our hidden subconscious powers, both positive and negative. Now, the subconscious arising. And a lot of us in modern culture are afraid of our unconscious, which is too bad because there's a lot of power there. There's a lot of wealth there, I believe. The card also points to paradoxes and contradictions. But for me, what I see here is the pleasure of the physicality. Yeah, the enjoyment of our passions and our sexuality, and our unconscious powers rising to the surface, which is wonderful. But the devil here is not in great placement. Nines for me in Tarot de Marseille are the breakdown or the exhaustion before the final culmination of the tens. So on one side we have, it's a gorgeous card, the Nine of Cups, which I know a lot of people read this as happiness, wishes coming true, wishes fulfilled, except maybe even profound love of humanity, detachment and denial for conscious love. It could be finding one's place in one's group, although that indication I think is more of a Marseille, a French traditional deck than this one, because in the French decks, there are decorative plants on the cards, which on the Nine of Cups separates each one of those 9 cups into its individual cubicle. So there's finding your place in a group is kind of a possibility there. But for me, the Nine of Cups, rather than happiness and wishes coming true, is grief. It's endings of relationships. It's perhaps solitude or loneliness. It's the breakdown of the emotions. Perhaps even emotional exhaustion, yeah? And on the other side of the devil, we had the Nine of Wands, which, this is a beautiful card, the art is gorgeous, but the Nine of Wands indicates exhaustion, maybe sacrifice, lack of motivation. Now the passions are just broke. In the cups, the emotions are broken down. Here, the passions and the drive is broken down. The libido is broken down. It could be acceptance and renunciation of that which is. It could be self-domination and experiencing the truth of a symbolic ending of self, accepting the end. This is the end, which could come from or lead to exhaustion and lack of motivation and that feeling of sacrifice. So here we have this wonderful, playful nature, passionate nature, unconscious power stuck in the middle of emotional and libidistic exhaustion of the libido. Stuck between emotional and exhaustion and the exhaustion of the libido, breakdown of our passions and breakdown of our feelings and our interpersonal connections, not communication, that's air. Our interpersonal connections, our feelings of loneliness, solitude, of breaking up and breaking down in the wands. So there's this potential, but right now it's stuck between a lot of breakdown, which is kind of, I think, a good read or a good concise message from the week's spread. So I pulled an oracle card for advice. Got this card. This is from the Zammer Twins Oracle by Patrick Valenza at Deviant Moon. And I'll have a link to this deck as well. I think this deck particularly pairs very nicely with the Italian decks. And so this is card 36, which is melancholy. And the description of this card is: feeling overwhelmed by dark emotions, a beautiful young woman stabs herself in the chest as she steps out over a high precipice. No longer able to see life's beauty, she tosses a note to the wind before plummeting down to the sea below. Seems a little bit more than melancholy, doesn't it? Not a happy card. Even in its upright meaning, for Patrick Valenza, this is a sad or gloomy outlook on life, feeling moody or having a heavy heart, unshakable dark or morbid thoughts, a tragic state of mind, depression, mourning, self-torment. And self-torment, I think, was the primary message of this week's larger spread. All of those negative thoughts really pointed towards primarily self-inflicted negative thinking of futility, of defeat. Now, there could be mirroring influences from the environment, but I think the primary message was we are causing our own breakdown. And this card, as the ending card, I think, isn't giving us advice so much as saying, hey, wake up, this is what you're doing. You're doing it to yourself. You're stabbing yourself in the heart. You're causing your own torment. You're causing your own dark thoughts. And so, we don't have the get ready to break out message here, but we do have the this is where we are now. This is where we are. And we have a potential of being, and the devil is, in this sense, is a good thing, of being playful, of being, enjoying who we are, where we are, enjoying the material realm, enjoying our passions, enjoying the world. But we're stuck in the middle of our emotional and libidinistic exhaustion, breakdown, crumbling, which is self-imposed, self-created. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, the larger spread gave us the advice to don't give up, keep on going, keep moving through, be flexible, and observe, be clear. Really take note of what is happening, what is the truth, what thoughts are true, what thoughts are not true. We shouldn't believe every thought we have. And when we are ready, the off-ramp will appear and we can take it. But we need to be ready for that off-ramp to appear. And it's not just one off-ramp. If we miss one off-ramp, there will be another one coming down the line. And we'll be able to take it when we are ready. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, so there we are. This is this week's reading. I hope that it meant something to you. And if it has, I'm grateful for your having hit the thumbs up button and subscribing if you have not yet subscribed. That really does help the channel. And it helps bring this channel to the eyes of other people who might be interested in watching this along with you. So I'm deeply grateful for all of those things, for all of the interaction that you have and do offer me and this channel. And friends, if you want a private reading from me, I'm here for you. Let me know. Shoot me an email. My email address is in the description box below, thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, we'll get you a reading. Or you can tell me in the comments below, I want a reading, and we'll figure out a way to get that for you. Okay? So here we are. Thank you, friends. Thank you for being with me on this journey. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.